I no, I don't want to make it sound like the whole weekend was just I can't believe I'm watching this crap, but there was plenty, to call WWE on the carpet about. And that's what I'm going to spend a lot of this episode doing. Just fair warning, guys. It's that's what we're here to do. What do you mean your lips are sealed?
Hey, Isaac,
Yo.
it's gonna be a great show tonight.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Since when are your lips sealed about this stuff,
Damn.
sir? Mr. Sir.
This is gonna be fun.
Best friends.
Hi, my name's Patrick, and I am one of the hosts of Wrestling with Keepers. Obviously, you know about it. You're watching it. It's a show about wrestling, and we try to have fun while doing it. Raise your hand, gentlemen on the panel, if you've had a slightly challenging week, 2 weeks. We're going to have fun tonight, boys and girls. Give you an idea. My format on my computer over here, it's about 4 lines. This is going to be a very loose show tonight, and we're going to have some fun. One of the people on this show might be imbibing alcohol because his NFL team is picking like a bunch of brain dead parakeets. Raise your glass, sir, and out yourself. Yeah, my man. Brian's drinking tonight. I might go to the fridge here in a little bit and join him. In all seriousness, welcome to Wrestling with Egos. I'm Patrick, joined as always each and every week by my boys, Brian and Isaac. Gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm great. Loving it. NFL, you know what it is. My team, I'm happy. I'm excited. I know, Patrick, it is what it is. But I gotta pounce my team.
I all for that. And Brian, all for you being pissed off about your team sucking it up in the draft.
Here's what happened last night. I actually got to participate in Hella Mock, so I need to shout out the disembodied voice of Reginald Johnson Eisenman III because he said, my brother partake in some of these mock draft sites. Some of them actually grade your mock draft for you. Some of them allow you to do trades, and you get trades proposed to you, and it's great. And in all the mocks that I did, I looked at the Saints, and I'm like, we need bodies. That's what we need this year because we had to let all these people go. I'm not going to bore you by listing them all. But I accumulated 14 picks in some of these drafts, and I was able to fill in positions of need. And I think what happened last night was the Saints panicked when 2 picks before us, the Browns selected Greg Newsome II, cornerback, Northwestern. And I think in the New Orleans Saints draft room, they all went, and so what do? They pick an edge rusher from Houston named Peyton Turner, who we don't need. I'm sure he's a fantastic human being. I'm sure he's going to look great next year, getting 1.5 sacks and being, part of a rotation or something like that. There were other cornerbacks on the board. There were wide receivers on the board that you could have taken to help Michael Thomas out. Get this Ohio State Buckeye brothers some help, for the love of God. And then tonight's pick is Pete Werner, linebacker, Ohio State. Great player. He's not setting the world on fire, though. It's like, what are we doing? What do we do? That's fine. Love draft season. Pomp and circumstance. Cleveland showing out. So this ends this public service announcement about the New Orleans Saints.
All right.
On with the show.
On with the show because I want to break from format for just a few minutes because I want to have a little fun with this. So I would like to explain my situation and my jealousy of both of you gentlemen. And I would like some advice on how to remedy my jealousy because I have a problem. Isaac, and RJ both. I'll speak for both of them simultaneously. They deeply care about the NFL draft because they deeply care about their Cleveland Browns. Brian, as you just heard, deeply cares about the NFL draft because he deeply cares about his New Orleans Saints. I am a football fan without an NFL team. And here's why. I despise the Atlanta Falcons. I grew up in a small town, Oxford, Alabama, halfway in between Birmingham and Atlanta. I am a die-hard, bloodthirsty Atlanta Braves fan. To hell with the Phillies, to hell with the Mets, to hell with the Nationals, to hell with the Cardinals.
Thanks for blowing the doors off the Cubs a couple of times this week, too, by the way, you idiot.
You're welcome.
This is a great segment so far. Please keep going.
I despise the Falcons. So in the early stages of their move to Tennessee, I became a Titans fan, mainly because they drafted some quarterback out of Alcorn State named Steve McNair, who I became a fan of in college because he literally threw for almost 700 yards in a game against my eventual alma mater, Jacksonville State University. I went to that game. McNair was awesome. They beat JSU like 70-3. It was ridiculous.
They beat the brakes off of you. That's what they did.
Yeah, exactly. And it was fun to watch. I became a Titans fan because of McNair and Eddie George, but mostly McNair. McNair tragically was murdered. It sucked. And I just drifted away from the NFL. Stopped really being a Titans fan, didn't really have a reason to be a Titans fan anymore. Then along comes an Auburn football team that wins a national championship with a guy named Cam Newton. And I'm like, all right, wherever this dude goes, that's going to be my team. Go Panthers. Until he leaves the Panthers, I sure as hell, under no uncertain terms, am going to cheer for the freaking New England Patriots. No way.
And just so you know, we can't be friends if you go into New England.
No. Hey, I will never cheer for the University of Alabama, the Yankees, the New England Patriots, the St. Louis Cardinals. Never in a million years. Not a chance. So anyway, I want a team to cheer for. I want to care about the draft. I want to be able to go, why the hell are you doing this? But I don't give a rip because I don't have a team. Don't get me wrong. Come football season, I will watch football on Sundays. Why? Because, you
love football.
I'm a junkie. Give me my fix. Football and wrestling and baseball and hockey. Go Penguins. But I don't have a team. And I find it hard to decide who to cheer for because I either A, don't want to come off as too bandwagony, even though I know I'm going to, or B, I don't want to be a part of a fan base that I already think is knucking futz.
The problem of it is, first, every fan base will say they are just that fan base.
No. Some are worse than others. A lot worse than others. And
it's you, Cowboys Nation.
Yeah.
Steeler Nation think they're the bomb, whatever.
I was going to point out 3 fan bases that I think are completely, emphatically insane. The Cowboys and the Browns and the Steelers. The Browns fans are completely miserable, and Steelers fans remind me too much of Alabama fans, and I swear I will die before I become one of those guys.
Browns fans, we have gone through so much pain and misery and suffering.
That's why you and Brian get along so well, because Brian's a Cubs fan.
but I'm also an Indians fan too. And we also remember we can go back in history. And you, since you're a Braves fan, I hate you for that, and you know why. And I'm not going to go into that. And we should have won that series. I ain't gonna go into that, but you already know what it is. And then the other fact of me being an Indians fan, really, Florida, 97, give me a break. That was a waste of my time. I want to kill them. Now, that being said, we in the 80s when I grew up, and I'm a little older than both y'all. Now, y'all saw who showed up last night. Roger Goodell showed up on stage with Juice, Bernie, and Joe Thomas. I grew up a Bernie fan. I grew up when Bernie was hot. When we had a team, we were going to the playoffs. Not just the playoffs, but the AFC, the division.
Hey, back on track.
I was there. I was living the dream. We just never got over the hump. I still hate John Elway to this day. I always will hate John Elway.
No offense to you. Where are you going with this?
Mine comes deep, just like yours was.
Right.
If you're feeling it, you're feeling it. If you're not, I understand.
But I know that. But my point is, I think Browns fans, because I listen to sports radio a lot, and hearing Browns fans call in on every sports talk radio station in Cleveland, they all sound miserable. They're all waiting for they're all waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when everything is going good, they're bashing the players that are making it happen for them, like they were last year, and they're bashing Baker and Nick Chubb, and I'm like, what the hell are you idiots doing? So no, not going to cheer for them. Again, not going to cheer for the Steelers because they're all overinflated assholes. Sorry, Chris Lemke. I love my boy, but guess what? Steelers fans are assholes. And I work with a couple and they're friends of mine, but guess what? Steelers fans are assholes. So I ask you one simple question. Give me some teams that I could cheer for. Like, for example, would it be stupid of me to put on my short list of teams Seattle because I think their jerseys are cool?
I'm not following a team that's who jersey I like. That's not
they have players there that I could easily get behind. Metcalf, Russell Wilson.
See, here's the thing. I don't think necessarily either one of us can sit here and tell you which team you need to root for. I did the thing as a kid that all kids do, or at least kids in Buffalo did this. Every week you have a different favorite team when you're 5. Because that's just how it is when you're 5. Okay, this week I like the Rams. And then this week, guess what? I like the Bears. And then this week I like this. When I settled on New Orleans, it was 1990. It was when I settled on them. It was because I liked the city. I'm a trumpet player from back in the day. So, I was in jazz band and all that stuff in middle school. And I became aware of New Orleans as kind of like the epicenter of jazz music. And then I discovered that they had a football team. I didn't even know anything about their history. I saw some of the games on TV. Dalton Hilliard, Bobby Hebert, the Dome Patrol with Ricky Jackson and Sam Mills and all those boys. And I thought, well, they must be pretty good. And then I did some research, and I'm like, wow, these guys are terrible. And one of my Christmas presents that year, there was a big box behind the Christmas tree. My dad's like, go ahead, open it. And inside the box, there was one of those reversible Team NFL starter jackets. Really sweet. I still have it in one of the closets upstairs. And then at the bottom of the box, thank you, Daddy, and thank you, Mommy, all that stuff. He said, well, there's one more thing in there for you. There was a manila envelope under the jacket. And he had written on it, New Orleans Saints fan starter kit. And he's like, open it. So I open it up. There's a paper bag folded up from Tops Friendly Markets or whatever. And it's got, the eye holes cut and a nose hole. And then across the the bottom, it said Aints. And the S was gone. And where the S is supposed to be, he had cut out a little hole. And he goes, if you look in the bottom of the envelope, I put the S in there for you so you can put it back on when they're actually good. And that was kind of my indoctrination. But I stuck with them. In fact, the Lovebird and I were just having a conversation about this the other night. Or last night, we were watching the first round. She goes, will you ever like not be a fan of the Saints? She goes, I'm a lot like Patrick. I follow players. She's a big Peyton Manning fan. So she was a Colts fan, back when he played for them. And then when they went to Denver, she's like, okay, I'm a Denver Broncos fan now. And I bought her a Peyton Manning jersey from the Hall of Fame that year. And now, because Patrick Mahomes is her fantasy football quarterback, anytime the Chiefs are on, she's like, oh, I got to watch this. I'm going to watch Patrick Mahomes throw his touchdowns and stuff like that.
That's an interesting thing right there. What about Green Bay? Because my fantasy quarterback has always been Aaron freaking Rodgers.
Well, I mean, not that we want to get off on that tangent, but he might not be much longer for Green Bay.
Right now, okay, Green Bay or whatever team Aaron Rodgers ends up on. I was actually thinking about that last night.
If you're going to, just right off the cuff, some teams that I think it would be cool for you to root for without seeming like a bandwagon person. There's some teams that I know that are kind of like on the come up. Washington, for example. No, but hear me out. I'm talking about the product on the field. Washington is building something very interesting.
Yes.
I'm seriously considering picking up their defense next year in fantasy because all of a sudden they've got some studs.
Right. But as a football fan, can't cheer for him. Dan Snyder. Enough said.
Right. The Dolphins all of a sudden are doing some pretty interesting things. Now, I don't know like what your criteria are. I could sit here and say, well, there's plenty of room on the New Orleans Saints bandwagon all of a sudden. You can get in on the ground floor because Drew is retired and we're going to be staring 5-11 square in the face for a couple of years, I think. I just don't see how we're competitive again, personally, for a while.
Getting into competitive everything else is a different topic for a different show, not ours.
Right.
Just a discussion I wanted to have because, like I said, very loose conversation tonight. If you guys have any ideas about teams I could cheer for and reasons why, hey, hit me up on Twitter. You can hit me up at Rant Mode On. You can hit Brian up at BCrigo15. Isaac's kind of earlier tonight we put up his graphic and it said special guest. Let's put that up real quick again with Isaac's Twitter ID, which is
I the Fourth.
There you go. So we follow Isaac at I the Fourth, and let us know what you think. Leave comments below. Who should I cheer for? Let's go ahead and get into the wrestling portion of tonight, and it's going to be fun because you ever have those moments in wrestling? Again on this show, this is why we love wrestling. You ever had those moments while you're watching wrestling going, how the shit did they do that? How is that humanly possible? Well, tonight we're going to talk about those moments. We're going to talk about the ones that freshly come to mind, like how is that even possible? Oh my God, those jaw-dropping, holy crap moments in the history of wrestling and just our reactions to them. And gentlemen,
here's the thing with my list. All three of mine are kind of negative.
Okay. Well,
when I saw your question earlier in the day, I kind of thought of it as, Pinky in the brain. Pinky, how can you be so incredibly stupid kind of thing?
Hey, you know what? I'm fine with that. You know what? We'll run with it. You know why?
Okay.
And have fun tonight. We're gonna run with it. So wait, we'll get some of those in there. But I want to throw out one, and I wanted to start with this one specifically for one reason. When it happened, all three of us were in the exact same room. And it just so happens to be above Mr. Brian Krigo's head right now because he's in his basement. We're talking about Brian's living room, and I'm talking about WrestleMania 31 and the mother of RKOs. That RKO he hit on Rollins. Damn.
Damn.
So, opening match, and I want to set my personal stage on this because obviously it interjects both of them. I'm there, and I'm also kind of half there because a few days from that particular WrestleMania, my life changed forever because my daughter was born. The very next week, she actually came home from the hospital on Easter Sunday, which was the following Sunday. And now she's 6. Good God, where's the time gone? So anyway, I'm kind of paying attention to the match, but not paying attention.
Hello, Hurricane. How you doing?
Yes, hello, Hurricane. Happy birthday to both the Hurricane and the Squishy Face. Both hit their birthdays here in the month of April, 6 and 12, respectively. Damn, I'm getting old. Anywho, I'm not really paying attention because at the same time, I've also called my shot and told everybody in the house, including these 2 cats, that it didn't matter because if Rollins lost, Rollins would be the guy that was holding the title at the end of WrestleMania because he'd cash in. I may or may not have been laughed at by someone on this panel and his wife. Just throwing that out there. Anyway,
Is it a burden being right so many times? I feel like I should ask you that question. Like,
no.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, or is it just sunshine and rainbows? Look at me and my track record, and gosh golly gee willikers.
No. First off, I am not right all the time. I miss so many of these shots that I call.
Yeah, but we never talk about those.
Right, because
somehow he misses that.
No. Hey, whoa. You go back and you look at the 2-year history of this show, and there's a litany of things that I missed by about that much.
Okay, next week's show, folks, tune in because we're going to talk about the litany of things that Patrick got wrong. So tune in next week on Wrestling with Egos. Okay,
we totally will. But we totally will. My point is, when I think I'm wrong a lot. Predictions guaranteed to go wrong. That's kind of my thing. But when I'm right, I'm not even kind of right. When I'm right, it's usually dead on. And
he's so humble about it too.
No, I'm not.
So
not even close.
He's so self-effacing and.
I'm not even gonna say anything about it.
Continue. No, well, please, good sir, continue. Pounding on your.
Hits the RKO. I literally watch Isaac. I've never seen Isaac move this fast in my life. Isaac is out of his chair, and he is instantly into surrender Cobra. Like, how the did that happen? I'm sitting there just like, oh my God. So take me back. That's my reaction to seeing both of you. Take me back to that holy crap moment.
I've watched that moment back several times. It's been on replays and stuff, and I feel like I queued up 31 not too long ago for some reason.
Right, it's a dude.
And it's like I still don't know how it was physically possible.
Right.
I'm sure Seth helped him a little bit because I don't remember the physics of it right now. Like if he jumped up on Seth's knee or something like that, or
Orton
jumped on Seth's knee. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Seth jumped on Randy's knee, got in the. Yeah, I watched it.
Go back and look at it. Orton's posted up, his hands on his knees. Seth jumped off his shoulder. Orton's doubled over for the stomp to get.
That's right.
Landed on, and then when he got his foot up there, Orton stood up, and that's when Seth jumped, and then just flattened out.
I mean, I know we were all speechless.
But still, the simple fact of how is this possible? And it seems like Seth Rollins gets himself into a lot of these moments, either on the business end of it or, well, actually, it's two impossible things that I've seen have happened to him. That one, and one that we saw very recently at this year's WrestleMania when Cesaro hit the unidentified flying opponent, the UFO. Has him in a torture rack style airplane spin and then drops his hands and keeps spinning. How did he do that? That's like a David Copperfield thing, like, you know, I have nothing. Look, $1 million. I mean, all right, seeing that one, your thoughts, because that when we were discussing WrestleMania Aftermath 2 weeks ago, we glossed over that. We didn't even discuss that. Your thoughts on seeing that? Because I'm sitting here on the couch going, what the hell?
You want me to take it?
Yeah.
I loved it. I saw it coming. I was like, oh, this is just another thing. He dropped his arms. I was just like, oh man. They got it. They got it together. They got the timing right. They got everything working right. Congratulations to both of them.
Yeah.
And I was happy Cesaro was getting the shine that he deserved to get years ago, especially at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, Brian,
you forget all of the things that Cesaro was capable of because he's been just buried in
mediocrity,
ridiculous storylines and stuff like that, and just not really being in a featured position. Right. So to be in a featured spot like that and to come through with a move like that completely legitimized everything they were doing.
Excuse me. All right, I want to point out two other things that Cesaro has done that defy human physics. Number one, we've seen him do the Cesaro swing, the giant swing on everybody. He has swung both the Big Show and the Great Khali. I want to point that out.
The Big Show one, Khali, I kind of get. I mean, and he was like arching back on Khali because he's 7 foot plus. So you got to make sure you clear that up. But the Big Show one was like, okay, I'm not believing this.
No.
You know how strong your core has to be to pull something like that off and make it look convincing?
Yeah, dude, I thought, and I think it was WrestleMania 25 when it was a triple threat between Big Show, Edge, and Cena. And Cena got both of them up on his shoulders at the same time for the AA.
Yeah, right.
But that was impressive until Cesaro did that, and I'm like, Cena ain't squat. Don't get me wrong, John Cena and his strength is ridiculous. And I was talking to, and I've mentioned the guy plenty of times, PJ, my buddy at work. Cesaro, the way he's built, no one that looks like him, because he's not an overly muscular dude. No one that's built the way he is should be that strong. You see every other powerhouse in wrestling, big chest, big shoulders, big arms. Cena, Big E, Hobbs from AEW. These just massively strong dudes. And then there's Cesaro, who's, I'm not saying he's a small man because he sure as hell isn't, but he's not one of these just overly kind of guys. And for him to, number one, do that UFO thing, that was impressive. For him to giant swing both of those two guys is impressive. And then at WrestleMania 30, for him to pick up the Big Show into a scoop slam and walk 7 steps to the ropes and then dump him like he were a small child. What the
I was going to say a sack of potatoes, but
I mean, he literally picked him up and dumped him over the ropes as if he were me.
Yeah.
And what in the hell is this? You know, people always talk about Cesaro being grossly underrated and undervalued. I look at that. I look at him not just as a wrestling talent, which he is immensely talented, and I wish to God they would do something with him. But he might be one of the most impressive human beings I've ever seen in any sport because of the things he's been able to do in terms of his strength. And another guy along those lines, but in terms of his agility, is Seth Rollins. Because there's no way that Seth Rollins should be able to do some of the things he does from an athletic standpoint, but he does. You know, the thing where he's always hanging on to he's on his back, he's got his hands on the top rope. His opponent will grab his legs and try to lift him up to drop him, and then he flips and lands on his feet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
The Phoenix Splash that he always does, the hang time he gets on that, he's already extending for the splash, and he's still even with the second rope sometimes. And then WrestleMania a few weeks ago, he just busts out a corkscrew splash like it's whatever.
Something I've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, we know the guy does CrossFit, but that might be one of the most freakish athletes I think we have in wrestling, period. End of story. I mean, do I think there are better wrestlers? Yeah, not many. I think Rollins is probably at the top of his game. Probably, close to the top of the mountain globally. But in terms of athletes, I don't know if anybody touches that dude. I'm talking a lot about this. Brian, you said you had some negative stuff. Fire one off. I want to hear where you were going with this, bro.
I don't want to bring the mood down.
No.
In terms, when you said how does something like this happen, I just thought of kind of like negative moments. So I'm going to take you back to WCW.
Oh boy.
Explain to me how something like David Arquette as the WCW champion can even be allowed to happen. Because I'm foggy on this. I know it happened, and I know that but I need some deets.
All right,
Isaac, why don't you give me some deets? Then Patrick, you can give me some deets because I need the deets.
All right, Isaac, go.
Okay, their idea, albeit the dumbest idea on the planet, was to bring in more mainstream people and to hopefully bring in someone that could bring attention to that title and bring them into the mainstream, very similar to what they wanted to have a Bad Bunny situation that he did now, where he was the 24/7 champion. He was on SNL holding the belt, and and him being able to do something. Obviously, we both know that that didn't work at all. Boom.
Just that. It was also a tie-in for the movie Ready to Rumble, which was being released around the same time. A very, very much WCW centric movie with David Arquette, Scott Conn, and Oliver Platt in it. God awful movie. So there was that. But I had my hand up for a different reason. And the details of that and how does that happen? I'm a big proponent on this show, in case you guys have not been paying attention to me, of the timeline. This doesn't happen without this and without this and without this, kind of like the whole without the Horsemen, there wouldn't be without the Horsemen, there wouldn't be an NWO or a DX. Without NWO and DX, there wouldn't be Bullet Club. You know, that kind of thing. Without, that'll put butts in seats in reference to Mick Foley beating The Rock, and then and WCW giving away the result of that taped Monday Night Raw. Crap like that doesn't happen either. WCW had and Eric Bischoff is not solely to blame for this. WCW had a long-standing history of how the hell does this happen, negative moments. Just giving you a couple. David Arquette winning the world title. Vince Russo idea, but I digress. Mick Foley's going to win the world title. That'll put butts in seats. Let's see. Oh, that's right. Harlem Heat making their initial debut in WCW with their manager, Colonel Robert Parker, and they're brought out in shackles and chains because they're criminals. Anybody remember how Colonel Robert Parker dressed?
Yeah.
Prison warden?
No.
Sanders. He looked like Colonel Sanders.
He dressed like Colonel Sanders. Yeah, that happened.
That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, guess what?
I mean,
so
geez.
again, if you want to go David Arquette, we gotta go back and go, okay, how does this happen? That happened because that happened. So yeah, I like where you're going with this. Give me another one.
Isaac, you got one?
The only one that keeps coming to mind, like how did that happen, was Mick Foley, Undertaker, when he threw him off of the cage. And literally, as anyone, and if you sit here and say you didn't think he died, you're lying. Because there's no way physically anyone should be able to survive after that match. And the fact that he got up and then he went through the cage, and then the cage, and the chair hit him. And how is this man even? How is he standing? Let alone, breathing. That's my. How did this happen?
I'll add to that. Not only how is he standing, how is he breathing, but how is he coherent enough to be a multiple-time New York Times best-selling author? How is he coherent? How is he coherent enough to do comedy tours?
I agree, 100%.
That match is probably in my top 3 in terms of matches I've watched the most.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, this is not a scientific poll here, but I would say that's easily top 5, if not top 3 matches I've watched the most. And every time I see that clip of Undertaker just flinging him off the thing, but for the grace of God, he landed just so to avoid. I mean, he goes too far, his neck goes off the barricade. He shorts it. He gets flipped over by the announce table, and the announce table doesn't absorb the fall the way it's supposed to.
Too much to the corner of the cell toward that direction, and he's right on top of Hugo Savinovich.
Yes. And a little backstage part of that whole thing, it is the most human I've ever seen Vince McMahon look. Because they pan around, they show people, and Vince is just kind of standing there looking down, and he's just kind of got this look on his face like, oh my God, is he okay? And he's just kind of like, what have I done? That kind of thing. And then, Isaac, as you pointed out, the bumpy, I mean, when I watched the match for the first time and I thought, okay, the match is over, they're done. And then he fights off the EMTs and everybody, and he gets up and climbs up the cage again. I'm like, this guy is insane And to take the bump he took going through the cage with the chair coming right down in his face, it's seared into my memory. Will somebody stop the damn match?
And then he got up again. How the hell does that happen?
And then he throws down the thumbtacks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, it got real when Terry Funk, we all know that was Terry Funk coming out to look out for him. Like, yo, you really need to stop this crap.
Yeah.
And Mick was like, no, we're not done yet. And even though him and Terry were not supposed to be friends and talking, breaking kayfabe, that was the realest thing I ever saw right there, because you knew that was not supposed to happen.
Right. And I think what's awesome about that whole moment now, looking back on it almost 30 years, 20, 30 years removed from it. It's been, it's closer to 20 than 30. But we look on it now and we hear Foley tell these stories, knowing that Mick Foley is okay for all it, for what it's worth, as good as he can be with all the damage he's done to his body. We can look back on it and find a little humor in it with the way Mick tells the story. Of, I remember coming to and thinking, where did those shoes come from? Because Taker chokeslammed Terry Funk and Terry Funk came out of his sneakers. That goes along those how the hell does that happen moment, because...
And Patrick knows this for a fact. I was in awe of the man when we got to meet him when he came to Cuyahoga Falls at that, for that comedy tour. We were in the line for the meet and greet, and the closer we got to the table, I'm thinking to myself, son of a bitch, that's Mick Foley.
Yeah.
That's the man right there. And he was so gracious and so humble and so, knocked out that we were there to see him and everything like that, and just couldn't have been a kinder person.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Amazing dude. One of those guys that I think will go down in wrestling history as one of the true unsung heroes of wrestling. What else is on that little negative list of yours?
This probably is, the David Arquette one was like the big one that I had, but I would think that if you are, and maybe at the time you weren't quite on the way to being a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, but I would think you would be watching the contracts of your talent like a hawk. And so that when they're about to come up and expire, because that's one thing that I see, like Tyler Breeze and Xavier Woods, when they have their little fantasy booking, SmackDown versus Raw 2006 thing on YouTube, the first thing they always do is they go to their contracts. Okay, so-and-so's got 2 weeks left. I need to re-sign him. Oh my God, Peyton Royce only has 1 week left. I got to re-sign her. How do you, as the WWE, allow your wrestlers' contracts to expire? You don't even know about it. I'm talking specifically about guys like Rick Rude and Lex Luger, still at the time when this happened, kind of big names that you were relying on to a certain point. Is it hubris? Do you just not care? Explain this to me. How does that happen?
I want to jump one more into that, especially ties to WCW with Alundra Blaze not dropping the... How do you not notice Alundra Blaze still has that title on her when she jumps and her contract expires and she goes somewhere else? Maybe she goes to Japan. Maybe she doesn't go to WCW. But she still has the title, and you haven't come and got it from her. How do you let that happen? How do you let that go?
Hubris. Brian alluded to it earlier, because at that point, look at all three of those moments. At that point, WCW, Rick Rude, different story, but Luger and Medusa, WCW was not a threat at that point. Rick Rude, when he appeared on Raw and Nitro on the exact same night, they didn't care, because all Rick Rude could be is a manager. No different than Bobby Heenan, no different than Slick, Mr. Fuji. The list goes on and on. He was a manager because he could not wrestle anymore. His career was done. So, Rick Rude, I honestly truly don't think they gave a flying crap.
If I can jump in real quick.
Okay.
Lex Luger, first night of Nitro, they let his contract expire. The next day, he shows up.
Right.
WCW.
WCW was not a threat then. That was the very first episode of Nitro, and nobody knew if it was going to work. And by the way, it didn't work for an entire year. And then the NWO happened. Nitro was eyed until Scott Hall showed up. Trust me, I watched Nitro.
Yeah, I agree with you.
W fan. Sting, hardcore Sting fan. Nitro wasn't shit until Scott Hall showed up.
I agree.
You know who I am, and but you don't know why I'm here. I
have to do it. I have to. We got the big Mang. We got the medium-sized Mang. And we got our surprise buddy. I'm contractually obligated to do my horrible Scott Hall impersonation. It's just, right. I love that line. Patrick's also waiting for me to make fun of Kevin Nash.
Please.
So this is where the big boys play, huh? Yeah. Check the adjective. Play. Mr. Nash, sir, play is a verb.
Right.
In most usages in the English language, it's never an adjective, sir. Sometimes it can be a noun if you're talking about Macbeth, but right. we're verbing here, sir.
Right. How long have you and I known each other? 8 years?
A long time.
8-9 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Ever since Brian and I found out that we were both wrestling fans, boys and girls, we have been busting on that specific thing the entire time. Because, aside from both working at Office Max, Brian's a teacher, and at that point, I had not too far removed from being a sports writer. So, both of us have a pretty decent, even though I talk like a hillbilly sometimes, have a appreciation for grammar. And yeah, that one gives me hives every time I think about it.
Look at the adjective.
Play. So I got another one. And this is kind of more recent. And I think it's something that they still should be doing. How in the hell do you not make as big of a deal of the Walter chop? Okay, because let me ask you a question. We've been watching wrestling for years, boys. We all know about the name Ric Flair. That's who made that thing famous. Right. I've done it to Brian 1.5 million times. I'm sorry, by the way.
No, you're not. So don't say that lie. I'm starting with that bull.
I did it to the Father Mucker on his birthday once. Not only did I do it to him on his birthday, but I did it after he helped me move.
See, that's just cold on every damn level.
Isaac, all the while, I'm hanging out with Brian for his birthday. It's awesome. We're going to grab lunch and we're going to hang out after we're done moving. And Brian and I are going to go grab a little snack over at Winking Lizard. Unbeknownst to him, his wife shows up at the Winking Lizard that we're at. Hey, you ready for your birthday surprise? What's going on? You come with me. His wife had been planning the surprise party the whole time, and I knew about it.
Oh, this is the one I came to.
Yes, it was. Because if you remember, they walked in the house, Brian's blindfolded. She takes the blindfold off. Everybody's there. Surprise, happy birthday. He walks right up to you and goes, you son of a bitch. Yeah.
I remember that.
Hey,
I was hiding in the corner.
I can't keep a secret to save my life. How the hell does that happen?
Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah, my big mouth. I was just like, oh my God. That was, good stuff. But yeah, how are we not making as big of a deal out of the Woo chop? I mean, out of the Walter chop. I mean, that's terrifying.
I think part of it is, unfortunately, where Walter plies his trade most of the time.
True.
I mean, I found out about our match of the year last year, sheer happenstance. I didn't watch it live as it happened. There was they put a video on right before Thanksgiving last year on YouTube of people watching it, like William Regal was watching it, and Killian Dane was watching it, and Shawn Michaels was watching, and they were reacting to it. Cesaro and Sheamus were watching it. And that's how I saw the match. And then I'm like, I got to find this match so I can watch it full screen as opposed to picture in picture. And that's when I started realizing this guy, Ilya Dragunov's nuts too, but this Walter, he moves like a gazelle, but it's straight power, straight chops and punches and kicks. And it's just, I would not want to be in a match with the guy because I don't know how I'd come out the other end.
Right.
I'd be busted up.
I honestly think like the Walter chop. Remember how ESPN used to do that sports science?
Ooh, gee whiz.
Yeah. Oh, I do remember that.
How many G's is Walter chopping you at?
PSI. How much PSI is in that chop? Kind of like how they did with Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. Everything he hits, he destroys.
Right.
So, hey, you mentioned NXT UK. I got another how the hell question for you. We talk about Cesaro being deceptively strong. How the hell is Tyler Bate that strong?
Tyler Bate
is I wouldn't say a little dude. He is a smaller dude. He's maybe 6 foot. He's a cruiserweight, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's under 205.
I feel like he's like 185, 190, but the power he has.
The man power bombed Walter.
Yeah.
Power bombed Walter.
That's the match I've only watched one time. I need to go back and watch it again.
Oh, it's good. But seriously, that guy is just like, what the hell?
Now, here's a general question about NXT UK. I know it's not getting paid attention to barely at all stateside.
Right.
Does it have a following in the UK?
Oh, yeah.
And is it rabid and vociferous and all that? Like, are they getting downloads and eyeballs on the product?
That's why it's still on.
Okay.
Oh, God, dude. Because NXT UK, you know how people always say that NXT is always kind of been run like an indie promotion, kind of been run like PWG or Evolve, one of those types of promotions. NXT UK, from a presentation perspective, much like NXT to Evolve or PWG, NXT UK is run a lot like Progress. And a lot of the people that are in NXT UK came from Progress. And if you've never watched Progress Wrestling on the WWE Network, you need to. It's so freaking good. My God. If I ever got the opportunity to go to a Progress show once all this global pandemic bastard bullshit ends, I would love to go see a Progress show in the Electric Ballroom in London. My God, that'd be the atmosphere. But yeah, dude, Tyler Bates' strength. That's a deceptively strong guy. Another guy that physically you look at, and I'm sorry, I gotta invoke his name. There is no way under God's hot sun that a man the size of Brock Lesnar should be as fast as he is. Should be able to move the way he does.
I agree. I mean, we all know how I feel about Brock Lesnar, and in a vacuum, you're right. I mean, there's no doubting his athletic pedigree, his credentials, his amateur background, all that sort of thing. I feel the way I feel about Brock because of his presentation over the past, 8 to 10 years.
Right, the way he was booked. But
yeah,
you kind of can't blame him for that. You can.
You're right.
You can't blame. You can't get all the blame.
If you're going to give me all this money to show up 7 times a year, then I'd be a fool not to take it.
Exactly. I mean, who wouldn't? There is no one on this panel that wouldn't take that deal.
So, do you want my awesome one next, or do you want another negative one next?
Let's end with the good stuff. So, negative.
Okay. Who thought the Brawl for All was a good idea? There's another excellent Dark Side of the Ring episode from last season was about the Brawl for All, and I remember watching that and just thinking, this was so stupid from the word go. What are you doing? I love your reaction. Your reaction made my night to that.
God, I totally forgot about that crap.
Oh my God, no. Oh, look, I was expecting just about anything tonight. I was not expecting. How the hell did the Brawl for All?
I mean, this is what you get for giving me an afternoon to come up with topics. I mean, I'm sure I could have come up with some more seedy stuff, but
I've got one, but I'll go to that later.
I love it, and yeah, that's actually the reason I think the Brawl for All happened.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Happy juice.
I think somebody might have had a few too many shots, and went, "Hey, you got a great idea."
Because I know it was designed to get Bart Gunn over.
No, it wasn't.
He wasn't supposed to win.
It was supposed to be Dr. Death, Steve Williams. That's right.
And then Bart Gunn knocked his full ass out.
Right. I forgot. And then that WrestleMania match against Butterbean. I mean, I don't know that much about Butterbean either, but I know that he was an actual
boxer,
legit boxer with a great record and stuff like that.
I wouldn't say great, but yeah.
Well, I mean, serviceable.
We gotta remember, Butterbean actually fought the day before WrestleMania and knocked that dude out. Mm-hmm. So that's on record.
I didn't know that.
And then he showed up the next night at WrestleMania and just was looking at Bart like, really? I gotta knock this fool out?
Didn't even break a sweat.
Knocked him out with a passion.
It lasted as long as a Tyson fight.
It was less than it was early.
Oh yeah.
TKO.
I thought it
was.
I thought it might have gone 90 seconds.
No.
That's being charitable.
Okay.
That's being Hall of Fame. Hell no.
Okay. I might be giving Bart Gunn too much credit, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. Seriously. How does the Brawl for All happen? That might be one of the most, I say, the most comedically horrible and unintentionally comedic, by the way, unintentionally comedically horrible thing in the history of professional wrestling. Like, hey, this is going to be a great idea. No, it's not. And we're still making fun of it to this day. My God. And not just that, but, the fights, the brawl for all matches, I can't even say that with a straight face, that didn't end in someone getting knocked the F out. It was just a bunch of this. Just swinging like, like two middle school girls in the playground trying to grab a hold of each other's hair and just.
There was no sweet science going on. It was just.
It wasn't sweet, and it sure as hell wasn't science. It might have, sorry, we were talking about football earlier. Let's go ahead and circle back. It was early 80s Saints versus late 90s Browns.
Oh, man.
There you go.
You want Isaac, you want to give your other one?
Okay, how the hell can they go forward? This is going to be bad, but if you think about it, how the hell did they even move forward in the moment that it happened? And it's a downer, but it's when Owen Hart died. And you saw Jerry the King Lawler, and you saw Jim Ross, and in the back of your mind, you just saw your friend die in front of you. And then you still have to, I understand the show must go on and the rest of that crap, but you just saw your friend die. How the hell do you, I've seen it happen to me one time where I saw someone die in front of me and I froze and I lost it. I didn't have to say anything else for 2 hours. I looked at my friends like, did that shit just really happen? Or did we just really see this happen? I would have freaked out and I would have lost my shit. That's just the way it is. That's just me. I know I'm sounding negative Nancy, but for me personally, I couldn't go forward. That's just the way I feel about it.
I've always felt that way. That needed over the edge. It needed to be a wrap right then and there. Like, okay, no. We're sorry, everybody. Full refund. Have a good night.
I remember late 90s, early 2000s when I was getting back into things, and this is during my Blockbuster Video, rental phase. I remember checking out Over the Edge because it was one of the pay-per-views that you could rent, on VHS from Blockbuster.
Really?
And
VHS?
Yeah. And I had zero context because, again, all of this stuff, I didn't know, I only learned later that this was the event where Owen Hart had the accident and everything like that. I remember thinking this is an awfully disjointed, pay-per-view, which sounds callous to say now that I know what happened, but now I know why. I mean, okay, everybody's like losing their shit backstage, and trying to contend with, our friend has died and all this kind of stuff, but we have to keep wrestling and cutting these promos and doing all this stuff. And I definitely would have happily taken the L on that one. We're done. Everybody go home, and we'll have a meeting tomorrow and we'll talk about what we're going to do and that sort of thing. But, you come out and you make an announcement, we understand that you paid, you paid your tickets to see a pay-per-view tonight, but there's been a horrible accident. More details will follow, but you will be given a refund or a voucher for a future pay-per-view or something like that. The next time we're in, was it in St. Louis?
Kansas City.
Yes. The next time we come through, that kind of thing. I just don't know why they thought it was a good idea to continue.
Yeah. Brian, move us to a more positive note.
Yes.
Sorry to bring the mood down, fellas, but
you're good.
That's real. That's all I'm saying.
I
will end this segment.
Hang on. Keeping it real here, yeah, that's something that's a question that needs to be asked. How the hell do you allow that to happen?
Yes.
Yeah, for all the great that we love about professional wrestling, pro wrestling has its warts, and some of them are ugly, and that just happens to be one of them.
This, however, is not a award. I will happily end this segment with, I'll give you two names, and you'll know exactly where I'm going with these two names. On this side, I give you Ricochet. And over here, I give you Adam Cole, Febe. How on earth was it possible that Ricochet is doing that flip and Adam Cole times it just right, super kick with his face upside down? It was a North American title match, as I recall, 2019, I think. Or maybe 18, this goes that far back. But my goodness, that was smooth as silk and so pretty.
All right, first off, keep in mind, run that back. That also was the finish to Matt Riddle and at Sheamus at WrestleMania. Riddle went for the in-ring moonsault, and Sheamus brogue kicked him.
Oh, that was ridiculous too.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a lot more like blunt force trauma than just the precision of the super kick.
Because Riddle was legit got his mouth busted up.
I mean, and I don't think Riddle or Sheamus would have it any other way, because that's how those two boys roll. But yeah. May I? And I try my best. We kid about it, but I really try my best not to be that much of a one-upper, especially on this show. But may I see your Ricochet Adam Cole?
I know exactly where you're going.
And raise you Ricochet.
I can read your mind.
Huh? So what?
I can read your mind.
Ricochet and who?
Velveteen
Dream? I didn't think you were going to say Ricochet.
Yeah, as you just said it. Velveteen Dream. That flip over the rope.
Oh my God, yeah.
Landing.
I thought you were going to say Shelton Benjamin and Shawn Michaels.
I thought about that too, but
anything you can do, the Dream can do better.
Sure.
Run to the ropes, jump, flip, stick the landing, then show me.
The biggest what's up moment, like
what the F?
What did we just watch?
Yes.
Yes, that just happened.
Yeah, that might be, and I'm
sticking the landing and then walking up to him a couple more steps, like, okay, then show me.
Yeah, I think he might have took one step.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, but it was just like, that might be the single most, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it with my own eyes, moment in wrestling. And Ricochet has given us a lot of quote unquote video game moments in wrestling. Okay, that's just bullshit. There's no way that's supposed to physically be able to happen. And it does. That's why I'm such a huge fan of the guy. But yeah, that flip, the landing, just like, what? What the hell? And let me throw out one last one. And it's not just a moment. It is a series of moments. I'm gonna mention the name, and I hope you guys know where I'm going. Kofi Kingston.
I'm not leaving. I'm just repositioning my chair really quick.
How creatively, physically, timing-wise, execution. How do you do some of those BS saves that Kofi has had in the Royal Rumble, and I think in one other battle royal, he got lifted, front lifted, tossed that way over the ring post, and he landed with his left foot still on the steps. But how do you keep coming up with, sorry, bullshit?
I want to throw in one more person. Just as you mentioned Kofi, John Morrison, Royal Rumbles. How many times he's done some stuff?
He only
Now,
did it.
Kofi's done more, but I still say John Morrison gets thrown in there too.
Yeah, and you can also mention Naomi. You can also mention Casey Catanzaro. It's funny that we mentioned Ricochet and we also mentioned Casey Catanzaro on how the hell does this happen. That woman is a how the hell does this happen moment, not just in professional wrestling. YouTube her on American Ninja Warrior. Enough said. I'm not saying that women could not do it. I'm just saying a woman that small.
I mean, it's obvious to me that Kofi goes on field trips, for lack of a better term. Like he, probably gets there like early in the morning before anybody else is there, and he probably walks around. Excuse me, and he thinks about, ooh, here's an area that I could do something with,
right?
Or here's this is an apparatus where I could probably like make something happen.
What was the first one? Was it the handstand walk?
Yes, the handstand walk. Because I remember Unico and Camacho's gold bicycle was down at ringside, and so he did the handstand walk, wound up with his feet on the ring steps, and then he climbs up the steps, and there's Camacho's bicycle is sitting there. The one that I thought he was going to screw up was the one where he wound up on the barricade going up the ramp.
When Rusev put him up there.
Yes. Because when he went to stand up, like there was some squishiness to that covering. And I'm like, oh, Kofi, I don't know about this. And then he just decided, okay, we got to go for it. Because if I sit here any longer, I'm going to fall.
We were at your house for that one.
Yes, and I even remember thinking like this, no, it's giving already. You need to go. You need to go now.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of when we all realize, okay, this is going to start being a thing.
Yeah.
But creatively, how the hell? I mean, the New Day have worked in pancakes into into his saves. I think the one that I will never ever forget. They saved him. The New Day saved him. He had one foot on the floor, and they did the cheerleader basket thing. And then he stepped up, and they launched him over the top rope and over Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, he's had tons of cool ones.
But yeah, who thinks of that? Look, I would like to think that we've seen enough wrestling to where we can come up with some pretty outlandishly crazy fun stuff. But really, that is a whole different level of evil genius that I would only aspire to reach. Never in my wildest fantasy could I be that insanely creative. And that's one of the many reasons that I love wrestling.
So I'm looking at the show sheet here, good sir, and I see on the show sheet that you wanted to pose a question to the panel this evening about a certain best bout machine.
Yes, I did. Ooh.
I'm wondering what that question might be.
I forgot all about that, and here we are an hour into the show already. Okay, we're going to need to. You know what? We're going to cut this. We're going to cut this, and that we'll save that for next week. So we're going to end with our only topical thing of the night, and you guys know I don't really like talking about topical things because you guys can go everywhere else on the internet and YouTube and see everybody else's thoughts about, oh, well, I think WWE is doing this and AEW is doing this, and oh, so many people watched, this show and million here and blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I don't care. And the minute these guys start caring, they're off the show.
Whoa. What? I'm gonna call a 30-second timeout there, sir.
I was
What?
kidding. I was kidding. I was kidding.
My
Ratings,
friend Mr. Bischoff and I
Ra-
take exception to that.
ratings,
What?
ratings don't matter. That's all that's all I'm saying. Anyway, so I have this fear right now in terms of the forbidden door that we've been discussing in wrestling for the last several months, ever since AEW, New Japan, and Impact started kind of sort of sharing talent. Not really hardcore into it, but kind of sort of sharing talent. Kenny's been, Kenny Omega just won the Impact World Championship. So now he holds the Impact World Championship, the AEW World Championship, and the AAA Mega Championship. Kind of going along that whole belt collector thing that they're trying to push. Here's my fear. Because we haven't seen anything else really come of this except for David Finlay and Juice Robinson winning the Impact tag titles when they're still under contract with New Japan, and now Yuji Nagata on this coming Wednesday night on Dynamite is challenging Jon Moxley for the IWGP U.S. Championship. So a New Japan title will be defended not only on American television, but on another promotion. That's
Which I'm very keen to watch, by the way.
Aside from these things, the only forbidden door thing that's really happened has been Kenny Omega. The only thing of significance. Because I'm sorry, the Good Brothers showing up just to continue to push the Kenny Omega storyline, whoop-de-doo. They haven't done anything concrete with that except for it's the Good Brothers, the Young Bucks, and Kenny. Cool. So, what if this whole forbidden door caca is just, underline, just a vehicle to get every championship not named the WWE title on Kenny Omega? Because, and I'm asking that because, like I said, nothing else has come of this. And look, there's playing the long game, and there's doing something, making it look like you're playing a long game, and you're not really doing squat. And that's what it feels like right now. It doesn't feel like anything's happening other than Kenny Omega. I'm not disputing the fact that Kenny Omega is an amazing wrestler. But again, it feels like, and this is the one thing I have been critical about AEW for. And RJ, I know you're going to watch this. We'll talk later. Get your schedule together. Come on the show. I love you, buddy. But the one thing I've been critical about AEW since day one is nepotism. Because it's always been, at first it was all Cody all the time. It was Cody and Brandy shoved right down our throats. And then after that, it was the Bucks being shoved right down our throats. And now it's Kenny being shoved on our throats. This time it's actually a legitimate reason. The Bucks as well, they're an amazing tag team, and that was the vehicle to give us Bucks and FTR. Thank you, by the way. But all we have with this Forbidden Door is a few appearances here and there, and Kenny Omega has 3 different promotions championships.
I think there's several different factors at play here.
Okay.
I think that the people in creative, whomever they are, for whatever company they work for, still have limitations as it pertains to the pandemic. I also think that they're really hoping against hope that they can get a amount of fans live to see these storylines play out. Because, okay, fine, let's say Kenny does win. I don't know how many are in the offing, 4 or 5 championships, and he's got them all now. Imagine the rub that the guy would get that would take one of them off of him. Like, say, you know, I'm just throwing a name out there. Ray Phoenix, for example, says, I want that AAA championship. And here's how we're going to do it. And you're able to get 25,000 people into an arena to see it happen.
Right.
You know, imagine the pop that Phoenix is going to get when he hits one of his, you know, insert name of ridiculous move that Brian has never seen before here and makes him jump out of his couch and go, oh my God, and gets the 3 count.
But here's the thing. What would be the point of one person having all of those championships if you're going to start taking them away individually? Makes no sense whatsoever. You know, I have this title and this title. You know, I have all of these world championships. Oh, I just lost the AAA title. Oh, now I just lost the Ring of Honor title. Now I just lost the Impact title. Slowly, one by one, you're going to be doing more damage to whoever that is if you just take L after L after L. Isaac.
Do you think that was the same way when they gave the belts to Becky 2 belts? Do you feel the same way? Because she had both belts. Yes, she was on Raw. She was on SmackDown. Yes, it was still under one promotion. But that's taxing on whoever you got, time-wise, all that other jazz. I get it. I hear what you're saying. But I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. You know, she lost her title one time to, who was it, Bayley in SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken?
She lost it to Charlotte, and then Bayley cashed in on Charlotte.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I don't.
She lost one title. She never, keep this in mind, boys and girls.
She never lost the Raw Championship.
Never lost the Raw title. She won it at WrestleMania when she beat Ronda and Charlotte, and she never let it go. She held the title for a year. And the only reason she lost it was because the man became the mom. So
I think we can still. It's got my attention, you know, and I guess by that, in that vein, it's doing its job because it's making me aware of guys I would not normally pay attention, like Rich Swann, for example. It's making me aware of the talent that's there on Impact. Right. It's making me aware of the people that are in AAA. And I wonder if it's just we don't know what else to do, and we're trying, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. We're trying this out. And yes, the danger in being a belt collector is, yes, eventually you lose the belts, but I don't know that it makes sense to put all 5 of them on the line at once, does it? If you're going to do that, there's only one guy that I can think of that deserves that because of the storyline he's been on, and that's Hangman Adam Page. We're still trying to get that payoff.
Yeah, and honestly, I have this sinking feeling they're going to rush that. I have this sinking feeling they're going to be building to Hangman and Kenny at Double or Nothing. No, please don't.
It's not time for that yet. It's still too quick because you got Hangman messing around with the Dark Order, and that's cute and everything like that. You know, because they're rallying behind him and they're, you know. I just don't know. I guess my long-term story narrative skills don't allow me to see a way that you collect all these belts and then lose them with dignity. I mean, he's a heel. You don't really do that. I mean, it's the heel thing to do, to say I'm better than you and that sort of thing. But
okay, but hang on, let me real quick.
Go ahead.
Yes, you're a heel, But I don't care if you're a heel or a face. I don't care how good you are. To little by little lose title after title after title, those are big L's. And consecutive big L's does a lot in terms of, bringing your equity down.
Yeah, your aura gets damaged.
So, truth be told, if they're putting all of these belts on Kenny, they've all got to be defended. And the sad thing is, as much as I like him, I don't think that guy's Hangman.
I'm sure there's some names I'm forgetting.
No. Sadly, there's one. And it goes back to that N word that I used earlier, nepotism. There's one guy, Cody.
Oh, come on.
He's right.
No, I know, because I know you said I couldn't challenge for the AEW title anymore, but this match isn't just for the AEW title now, is it? You got 5 other belts that I can take off of you.
Right. And that's the point that I'm getting, that I've been trying to get to, is this just screams of the elite taking care of the elite.
Let me play devil's advocate for you then.
And they're truly making their promotion all elite.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Let me try and predict what RJ would say if he were sitting in panel 2 right now.
Okay.
Let's say that's what they do. How is it any different than what Stu Hart used to do in Stampede Wrestling? And how is it any different than what the Von Erichs used to do down in World Class?
Right. And guess what?
And neither one of them are around anymore, I know.
It sucked then, and it sucks now. Every promotion that has fueled itself off of the promoter's own nepotism has failed.
Yeah.
Every one of them. Championship Wrestling from Florida, World Class, the AWA, Mid-South. The list goes on and on. IWGP, New Japan failed at first because Antonio Inoki wanted to be Antonio Inoki.
I see that.
And I don't, as much as I love Hangman, Hangman doesn't have that cachet to be able to go, I'm taking all those titles off of Kenny Omega.
It wouldn't be believable enough.
No. And don't get me wrong, as great as Moxley is, as great as Pac is, Ray Phoenix, Penta, all of those guys, it's still not big enough. Because I also guarantee you at some point they're going to get Kenny Omega and Nick Aldis in the ring together. I guarantee you it's going to happen. And Kenny Omega basically being Thanos, I am inevitable. You need a name to pull that off and be Tony Stark. No, and I am Iron Man. And
I just don't know who that is. But I don't even know if it's Cody.
Yeah, it is. It is. And Isaac, I'm gonna beat you to the punch on this one. What's Cody's last name?
Damn right.
That's why. It's not the first name. It's the last name. It's the name on the back of the jersey. Cody wouldn't be winning the title because he's the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. he'd be winning all of those titles because he's the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Emphasis on the last name because he is
son of a plumber.
Of the son of a plumber. It's not, it's the legacy.
I will give AEW credit for something that we've known for a long time now, and I'm just finally getting wise to it. They give me something every week where I think, gee whiz, I have to watch that. Because this past week it was Orange Cassidy and Penta El Zero Mero. You know, I mean, now I'm not saying match of the year because it didn't hit that note, but I still said I need to watch this, and I made time
to fun?
Carve out for that match, and it was a banger.
It was fun.
Chef's kiss.
2 thumbs way up on that one. Way
up. And I like what they're doing with Miro now. All of a sudden, it's a no nonsense. I'm done messing around, Miro, and that's what we need to see. I don't know where it goes, but I'm here for it. Anytime and the 10 versus Darby Allin match. Oh my goodness.
Preston Vance, dude, that guy's gonna end up being money.
Yeah. So they give me something to look forward to every single week, and it's not something I can always say, unfortunately, about the product coming out of Connecticut.
No. The only thing you have to look for, sadly enough, the one show that has been around longer than any other wrestling show known to man is the most unwatchable product I've ever seen. I will take Nitro. No. I will take WCW Thunder at its very worst than I will Monday Night Raw right now.
I will end. I mean, I can see by the clock on the wall there's a fly that we're probably going to think about, last call here pretty soon. I will end with a fearless prediction, sure to go wrong.
All right.
While we are recording this show on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan is having what could be his last SmackDown match, because if he loses tonight, he's off of SmackDown.
Right.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I was sharing my prediction with a friend of the show, Chris. Shout out to Chris. How you doing, brother? I think Daniel Bryan loses and then takes a couple weeks off. And then a couple Tuesdays from now, he shows up on NXT. And I'm not saying I'm going after the NXT championship, but think about the possibilities. If you give me Daniel Bryan versus Pete Dunne, yes, please.
Brian, I know you're not a Marvel guy. Isaac, you've seen Endgame, right?
Absolutely.
What line from Hawkeye am I about to say?
Give me a second. Why is that?
I'll give it to you. Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope.
That's my fearless prediction. I mean, what else is there left for him to accomplish? He's not going over to Raw.
No, don't give me hope. Brian, please. Don't put that. I have used this phrase to you on this show and in our normal day-to-day lives. When I say don't put that kind of voodoo on me, when that quote from Talladega Nights, this is the exact opposite of that. Don't put that kind of hope on me, man. Dude, no. Because you get Daniel Bryan and Pete Dunne, you get Daniel Bryan and Kyle O'Reilly, you get Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole, baby. No, don't.
And look at it in a vacuum. We know everybody in NXT has their game up to this level. Daniel Bryan shows up, but now it's up here. My hands are about to go out of my screen on this. Daniel Bryan versus Kushida. I mean, ooh. Daniel Bryan and Johnny Gargano. I just booked 2 years of NXT television.
Dude, Daniel Bryan and blank. Any name that is currently in NXT.
Chris even poked his head out of the cash office the other night while he was, doing the closing procedures, and he goes, "Oh, I got another one for you, Daniel Bryan and Dexter Lumis," and I'm like, "It'll get me to watch the Dexter Lumis match."
Yeah.
So I mean, because right now I just gotta hit the fast forward button on that stuff, and all he's doing is drawing in his sketchbook. He hasn't said a word yet, But hey, you show up with Daniel Bryan, let's go.
Dude,
get your popcorn ready.
Dude, a younger talent, but he shows flashes of freaking brilliance. Daniel Bryan and Austin Theory.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan and Leon Ruff.
I'm not a big fan of Leon Ruff.
Yeah, he's an inspirational guy. I mean, I like what he's been able to do. I'm just saying, I've just booked you 2+ years of NXT television.
Yeah.
Because I know, and the reason I bring this up is because I know he's been on record as saying that he feels like he's at near the end of the line as far as his career goes, and he wasn't sure that he would go through the WrestleMania because of how he was feeling mentally and physically, that kind of thing, which scared the bejesus out of me, by the way, that he was feeling that way, because I have flashbacks to all the other problems that he's had that have been well documented with health and things like that. So there's really nothing for him over on Raw that would make me want him to take that leap. So go to NXT and cultivate this, bring them up even more. I mean, we know they're already fantastic because we talk about them a lot. But my God, get in the ring. Just give me one match with each of those guys, and I'd be fine with it.
If he does this, give me 3 matches. That's all I ask. 3 matches. And I'll give you those names, and that's all I'm asking for. Give me Adam Cole. Give me Balor. And then finish it up and give me Ciampa.
Can you imagine the promos between Bryan and Finn? Oh my goodness gracious!
Could you imagine the promos between Bryan and Ciampa?
Yeah.
Hey, that might not be match.
Psycho Killer's got to eat.
Hey, that might not be match of the year, but that will be definitely the most intense match of the year.
Yeah.
And you thought Walter and Ciampa was an ass whooping.
So if you want to write WWE, the address at the bottom of your screen that Patrick was going to so kindly put up there, make this happen. Let's put pen to paper and let's write them a letter and just strongly suggest that you make this happen.
I got before the music's starting, so I know I know we got to get going, but I'll end it with this because I got to squeeze this in one per show. Daniel Bryan, Tommaso Ciampa. Shut up and take my money. I mean, God, that's all there is to it. Guys, fun show. Glad we did this.
Oh, you guys stopped dancing. I'm sorry. I'll just.
I stopped dancing about 2 seconds after I started.
Serious face.
You guys, you know what? Y'all can go for it, but I know. Good God.
I'm not even gonna go there right now. I wanna know what.
Okay. Remember a couple weeks ago when I tried the entire show to just break Bryan? I'd like to point out that he's gotten me twice tonight. Okay, so I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out. I'm done. Oh, you son of a. Okay, we're getting out of here before he busts me again. Great show tonight. Guys, thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us in this madness. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did because this has been some crazy BS tonight. Damn it, I love you guys. That's just all there is to it. For Isaac and Brian, and for the disembodied voice of Reginald Johnson Eisen and Esquire III, I'm Patrick. It's been Wrestling with Egos. We'll see you next week because this is why we love wrestling.
You damn Skippy it is.
Damn you, Brian.
You love it. You know you do.
Brawl for all.
Your love is real.